From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum. I am Ahmed Ramadan. A new report finds a surge in Islamophobic attacks against New York mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani. Over 35,000 hateful posts on X, many from verified users. This and more on today's show. Stay tuned. Former President Barack Obama has offered to be a sounding board to New York City mayoral frontrunner Zoran Mamdani if he wins Tuesday's election. According to the New York Times, in a call to the candidate, Obama praised Mamdani's energetic campaign and message of economic justice. Mamdani's team said he was grateful for the support. Both politicians share African and Muslim roots. Mamdani was born in Uganda to Indian parents. Obama, whose father's family are Muslim, from Kenya, and whose middle name is Hussein, faced Islamophobic attacks during his presidential campaigns in 2008 and 2012. He studied in Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim country, but generally distanced himself from his Muslim connections throughout his presidency. Observers note this is in stark contrast to Mamdani, who has embraced his heritage as a Muslim with Indian and African roots proudly. Analysts say Obama and Mamdani represent two different eras in American politics. They have compared Obama's cautious rise to the presidency to Mamdani's bold progressivism as he competes to lead the country's largest city. As voters in New York City head to the polls Tuesday, observers in America and around the world are waiting to see if Mamdani can make history as the city's first Muslim and socialist mayor. A new report says New York's mayoral race saw an unprecedented rise in Islamophobic attacks against candidate Zoran Mamdani. Mamdani is the first Muslim and democratic socialist contender for the city's top office. The report, compiled by the Center for the Study of Organized Hate, or CSOH, in Washington, analyzed social media activity between June and October 2025. The report found a surge in anti-Muslim rhetoric across the Elon Musk-owned platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Researchers identified 35,522 Islamophobic and xenophobic posts from 17,752 unique accounts, reaching an estimated 1.5 billion users. Nearly 40% of those accounts were verified blue badge users, amplifying hateful narratives that branded Mamdani a terrorist, radical, or enemy within. The study found October alone accounted for 43% of all such posts, a 450% increase from September. Thousands of messages called for Mamdani's deportation or revocation of his U.S. citizenship, while others pushed conspiracies about Sharia law and a Muslim takeover of America. CSOH warned online Islamophobia distorts voter perception and fuels real-world threats against Muslim Americans. The report urged platforms like X to strengthen safeguards, enforce hate speech policies, and curb the spread of extremist narratives. Civil rights leader Al Sharpton condemned Islamophobic attacks in New York's heated mayoral race as frontrunner Zoran Mamdani campaigned in Harlem. Speaking at the National Action Network, Sharpton said linking Muslims to the September 11, 2001 attacks insults the intelligence of all New Yorkers. He introduced Reverend Travis Boyd, whose mother died in the attacks, saying her death should not be used as a political prize. Sharpton praised Mamdani's consistent outreach to black voters, saying he is the only candidate who showed up. Mamdani, backed by Attorney General Letitia James, called the rhetoric from rivals Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa desperate and unbecoming of this city. Sharpton warned, "Don't play us against each other," urging unity over hate as election days near. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, is considering paying private contractors to find and track immigrants. The Intercept reports that ICE plans to hand over data on 10,000 immigrants at a time, offering cash bonuses to companies that quickly verify their locations. The proposal would allow contractors to use government case files, social media, and phone data to locate people. They would then confirm addresses through surveillance, including timestamp photos. The plan mirrors earlier ideas linked to Eric Prince, a Trump ally and former CEO of Blackwater, who once pushed for a private bounty system to locate immigrants. ICE says it wants incentive-based contracts that reward firms for finding 90% of targets or confirming addresses on the first try. Experts warn the move could expand surveillance powers and encourage aggressive tracking methods by private bounty hunters, raising privacy and human rights concerns. A California high school has barred Yemen-born activist Luay Ahmed from addressing its Jewish student club. The Swedish-based ex-Muslim and vocal supporter of Israel was scheduled to speak at Lowell High in San Francisco. Officials said there was not enough time to review his talk, but observers say the decision came amid anger over Ahmed's divisive record. He frequently blames Muslims for the world's problems, denies Islamophobia, and has lately defended Israel by downplaying the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Ahmed often posts videos mocking Islam while seeking validation in Western media circles. Analysts say it has become a trend, individuals disowning their heritage to gain sympathy and refugee status in the West. A similar talk at Alameda High also was cancelled after protests from Free Palestine groups who accused Ahmed of pinkwashing. They said he is using his sexuality as a gay man to mask anti-Muslim rhetoric. Many see Ahmed's growing visibility as part of a broader pattern of weaponizing identity to serve political agendas. UCLA scholar Khalid Abul Fadl says Muslim governments are complicit in Israel's genocide in Gaza. Details coming up next.
My name is Layla. I was an average kid until Zula Inc. broke into my life because my dad discovered time travel. After that, everything changed.
You're the new girl Layla, right?
Whoa! What if I don't fit in?
Abdullah!
Do I hear my name? Welcome to Vancouver, cuz.
Whoa!
You four have been specially chosen to take our project into the next generation.
You can time travel?
Abdullah! No! Abdullah! Where?
Do you really think I don't know why we had to leave Seattle, Mama?
Now here, keep these close. These should never leave your wrist.
This virtual reality game is crazy. You can even eat. This is reality, buddy. We zoomed through a wormhole.
Oh no, my Go Watch! It's gone!
What does this do?
That's Al-Khwarizmi. You know, the father of mathematics. It's because of him we have algorithms.
I will not stop until your legacy, everyone's legacy, lies in ruins. Of course it was you. You little rascals ruined everything.
Your fate will be great. Just don't give up.
Time hoppers.
Welcome back. Islamic scholar and UCLA professor Khalid Abul Fadl says Muslim governments have been complicit in Israel's genocide in Gaza. Speaking with journalist Mehdi Hassan on Saturday, the prominent Islamic scholars said the atrocities could not have continued without the silence and cooperation of Muslim leaders. Abu al-Fadl, one of the West's leading experts in Islamic law, argued that religion cannot be separated from moral responsibility. He said many Arab rulers have chosen political convenience over justice, calling the status quo unsustainable. His new book, The Palestine Sermons, compiles 25 sermons delivered between 2018 and 2024, tracing Israel's occupation and the rise of global Islamophobia. He warned that Islamophobia has become a perfect distraction tool even among Muslims in the West. Abu al-Fadl also criticized Muslim Americans who supported President Donald Trump, calling it a reflection of a deeper moral crisis. President Donald Trump says Washington will assist Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as he faces corruption and war crime charges. In an interview with CBS's 60 Minutes, Trump said Netanyahu is not being treated well. He said his administration will be involved to help him out a little bit. Netanyahu is on trial for corruption in 3 cases, all of which he denies. He allegedly received gifts from businessmen and offered regulatory favors for positive media coverage. Netanyahu, the first sitting Israeli leader to face criminal trial, also faces International Criminal Court warrants for war crimes in Gaza. Trump also defended his 20-point peace plan, saying that Israel-Hamas ceasefire was very solid, even though Israel has violated it over 100 times since it took effect on October 10th. Israel continues to kill Palestinians in Gaza and the occupied territories. Armed Israeli settlers injured at least 11 Palestinians after attacking several villages in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. Local officials say the settlers backed by Israeli forces opened fire near Al-Minaya village southeast of Beit Lahem, wounding 3 people. Witnesses say the settlers also brought livestock to graze on Palestinian farmland and set olive trees ablaze. In one of the most disturbing incidents, footage verified by the Haaretz and the Times of Israel shows armed settlers torturing lambs, slaughtering sheep, and even gouging out the animals' eyes during an attack on a Palestinian farm in Jibal al-Khalil al-Junubiyya or the South Hebron Hills. In other attacks, settlers targeted farmers harvesting olives near Nablus and threw stones at homes in east of Jerusalem. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 8 people were treated in Nablus after assaults by settlers and Israeli troops. The United Nations says this year's olive harvest has seen the highest level of Israeli settler violence since 2020, with more than 120 attacks reported. Palestinian officials accuse Israeli forces of protecting the assailants as violence continues to rise across the West Bank. Israel continues to violate the U.S.-brokered Gaza ceasefire, killing 3 Palestinians, including a woman, north of Rafah on Monday. 2 more, including a teenager, were shot dead in separate attacks by Israeli forces and settlers in the occupied West Bank. Palestinian officials say Israeli forces have committed 194 ceasefire violations since October 10th, with artillery and naval shelling hitting Deir al-Balah and Nusayrat. Israel has also blocked 8 convoys, medical supplies, and the entry of heavy equipment needed to recover bodies from the rubble. Gaza-based forensic doctors say that Israel's refusal to allow DNA testing kits and related equipment into the territory is delaying identification of the dead. About 10,000 people are still buried beneath the destroyed buildings. Only 24% of agreed aid trucks have entered Gaza, leaving 288,000 displaced families without shelter. Israel returned 45 Palestinian bodies under the ceasefire, while Hamas handed over 3 Israeli captives. Palestinian authorities in Gaza say 90% of civilian infrastructure is destroyed, with losses topping $70 billion. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed at least 68,858 people and wounded 170,664 since October 2023. President Donald Trump has threatened that he could send American troops to Nigeria to save Christians. He has accused the Nigerian government of failing to protect Christians from what he called Islamist militants. In a social media post, Trump said he ordered the U.S. military to prepare for possible action threatening a fast and vicious strike. He also vowed to cut all aid to what he called a disgraced country. Nigeria's presidential advisor Daniel Bwala told the BBC any military effort should be coordinated and said Nigeria remains a sovereign nation. He stressed that terrorists have killed people of all religions. President Bola Tinubu rejected Trump's claim that Nigeria is intolerant, saying the violence affects everyone regardless of faith. Trump's remarks have stirred concerns across Nigeria, where many fear his rhetoric could inflame tensions. Experts say that American military action can complicate the country's long fight against terrorist group Boko Haram and ISIS-linked militants. Tanzania's main opposition party, the Chadema, claims hundreds of people have been killed in protest following this week's disrupted elections. The party says more than 700 people have died across the country after security forces cracked down on demonstrators. The United Nations confirmed at least 10 deaths and called the reports of excessive force credible. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has urged an investigation. Protests erupted after two major opposition parties were barred from running, sparking outrage in the largest city, Dar es Salaam, and other urban centers. Witnesses say the army used tear gas and live rounds to disperse crowds. Tanzanian Foreign Minister Mahmoud Thabit Kombo denied any excessive force and said the government has no official figures of casualties. President Samia Suluhu Hassan's ruling CCM party is expected to retain power amid claims of fraud, internet shutdowns, and mass arrests. The unrest marks one of the Tanzania's deadliest election crises in years. Starting next week, Saudi Arabia's government will shorten the validity of Umrah visas from 3 months to 1. Its Ministry of Hajj and Umrah has announced the visa will expire 30 days after being issued if the holder has not entered the kingdom within that time. Officials say the move aims to manage the flow of pilgrims during the cooler months to the cities of Mecca and Medina, the main cities of pilgrimage and visits to holy places for Muslims in the country. However, once inside Saudi Arabia, pilgrims will be allowed to stay as long as 3 months to perform Umrah and visit for religious purposes. In October, the government also tightened Umrah rules by requiring advanced booking of hotels and verified transport through Nusuk or Masr apps. Scientists in Europe have created a groundbreaking forensic tool that can predict a person's age and traits from even tiny or damaged DNA samples. The project, called the Visage, brought together experts from more than a dozen institutions, including Poland's Jagiellonian University and the Central Forensic Laboratory of the Police. Dr. Ewelina Pospietr, a Polish scientist involved in the project, called it a major success for her country. The new method studies DNA methylation, subtle chemical changes that occur as humans age, to estimate a person's age within a margin of error of just 3 years. It can also reveal clues about appearance and biographical origin. Researchers say this breakthrough could dramatically narrow down suspects in criminal cases. It can also help solve long-standing mysteries where only trace DNA samples are available. The tool now is being tested and validated worldwide. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We're a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.